Hello and welcome to Good Games Well Played, episode 256. I'm Clint, aka JCM. With us this week is Isli.
Yo,
And unfortunately, Messiah is not feeling well. Big unfortunate, especially because of all the showcases that we're going to be recapping on this. And I'm sure there's some indie stuff that Zai would have been able to call out that I didn't watch. And there's such a shock and blast of it. It's so hard to keep track of things. I just have to wait until podcasts this coming week for people to say like what they thought was interesting. And then if they have the same gaming taste as I do, I go back and check out the trailers.
I feel like
Otherwise, it's
this
just too
year,
much.
more than others, I've had a really hard time actually watching the shows and finding out what like actually was released because I didn't watch it live since it was at a weird time during the day. And everything I've tried to find for summary of the show is like, here's the like four things to be excited about. And I'm like, I don't really want the four things to be excited about. What I actually want is just like a time-stamped list of every game that was released so that I can make my choice. Like it's been so frustrating. I'm like, yes, there's a new Silent Hill. Great. Popping up in every feed. It was not the only thing that was talked about. Anyways, my rant.
Yeah. Yeah, I wish there was, like, a better way to especially for it's like the indie games that's the worst ones, like, 'cause I'm not gonna watch that because, 1, it's at a weird time, and even, like, when I watch State of Play and Summer Game Fest proper, I watch the VODs and then just kinda skip through trailers for games I didn't care about or for games like, I already know about this game, I don't need to see it, it's like, "Okay, I'm good," or I don't wanna see more of it because 'cause I'm already sold, but yeah, like, the indie showcases are like, "Okay, I can't" Day of the Dev showcase, like, I just don't got time, and man, or you got because then the women's led showcase was Wednesday, and they had some other ones, and there's like some cool stuff that's been coming out. But again, it's like, and then my YouTube's just this shotgun blast of yo Small Land 2, yo Carnival Hunt, yo Frog Squad, yo Detopia, and I'm like, I don't know what these are. And I'm like, I don't got time to sit here and watch them because I'm like, it's too many goddamn trailers. But anyway,
Basically.
but before we get into the showcases, there's only two news articles this week that weren't necessarily related to game showcase stuff is that so we talked about a couple weeks ago how so people are upset in Subnautica 2 that you can't kill the fish, and they're like, oh, but you can do it
Wait,
in person,
are
yada yada.
they?
Yeah, you don't remember that? Were you not on that episode?
No, but that's a hilarious complaint. I
So
guess
yeah, people.
I hadn't realized that, but I
Yeah, so
guess yeah.
they're mad because you can't kill the fish, and like they're not. That's like not an option. Like there's no option to do it, and like even if you hit a fish with like your whatever your sea moth is in the game, I don't know. I'm trying to avoid it. They won't die. They'll just get like dazed and then come back. Whatever. It's like there's no way to properly kill them. You can kill obviously the food that you eat, but not the big predator fish. And it's like okay. I'm like I mean aside from like the torpedoes in the submarine, which I never made, and I don't know who's making those. You have like the stasis weapons and stuff like that to knock stuff back, but typically I was like never running my Seamoth or my sub into the other predators, like those electric eel ones, to kill them. It's like I just avoid them. So to me, it didn't seem like a big issue, but there are a subset of folks who were like mad that they went this quote unquote pacifist route, and they didn't really do a good job explaining it. But so then Anthony Gallegos, who's one of the developers on the game, former IGN alum, also worked on I think One Up back in the day. I'm very familiar with him. He's a good guy, but he was on had an interview with MinMax, kind of talking about this whole Subnautica 2 thing, and basically saying, we didn't really. There's like misunderstanding. We didn't really explain our position on why we don't have the killing in our game. And basically, he was saying like, because one of the designers said we aren't a killing game. He's like, if you want to play a killing game, go play Sons of the Forest if you want to kill. So it's like it's really bad messaging from one of the designers. But then Gallegos came out and basically said, you know, he's like, a source a lot of the negative feedback we've gotten is that we changed the game in the sense that we're not letting you kill predators, and that's not some decision made because we're a game about pacifism or nonviolence. We're a nonviolent studio. He's like, the studio was founded by modders who made Half-Life mods, and the first mods were all about shooting aliens. They loved the movie Aliens, and he's like, and that's what Natural Selection 1 and 2 were, which are games where you fight aliens as colonial marines, essentially. And he went on to say, that this idea that we were really leaning into Subnautica and Pacifism game, which wasn't our intent, is kind of the narrative. And he says that our intent was that we didn't want the character to be a dominator over the world because the message of the game very much is people learning to live in parallel with the world that they're in. And so they get rid of that, yada yada. He's like he cited Silent Hill 2, where players will master the pipe combat despite it being poor because it's the way better to kill every creature in every hallway and then freely run through it versus just dodging them when they're scary. He's like, and so by removing the option to deal with combat, it means that the omnipresent tension of stuff like that gets to be there. And so that's really where we're trying to lean into.
This
And he
this
goes on,
this is a
go ahead.
hilarious issue to me because I've played Subnautica, the first one. I think I've played it like 3 or 4 times because I played it like early when it came out, and then there was like a big graphics patch that I played it. Then I recently replayed it on PS5, and it wasn't until after I played it like the third or fourth time that I even learned that you could kill like leviathans. Like I
Hmm.
knew you could kill some of the smaller like alligator creatures and things. I can't remember what they're called, but it truly wasn't until I replayed it the third or fourth time that I learned that killing leviathans was even like a thing that was in the game, because it just like it never comes up as a like
Really
reasonable
viable
approach
option.
or
Yeah.
yeah, it never comes up as a viable approach or option. And also it just like never felt like it was actually appropriate to design it that way. It felt more like the developers, oops, we accidentally gave the leviathans an HP bar that can be depleted. It felt more like an accidental thing, not an intentional choice to allow the death of like big predators. So that does kind of crack me up that people are complaining about it at all, because even in the first game, like you could take that out entirely and it would play exactly the same.
Yeah, because Resident Evil 2, it's like Mr. X is chasing you around. There's no benefit to killing him in the OG or in the remake. There's it. You just stop him for a bit and he comes back. In Resident Evil 3, at least with the Nemesis, for the little bit that he chases around Jill, it's like if you kill him in the OG game, I think they took it out in the remake, but in the OG game, if you killed him, he dropped stuff that you can pick up, I believe, to make like a custom gun. If every encounter you spent those resources to knock him out, it's like you were collecting components to build something later. I think it was the custom uh little gun from Terminator 2. I think that's what it was. But like there was there was a benefit to do it. To like, okay, if you use your resource to do this, like like you said with Subnautica, it's like there's no it's takes so much to take them out, and it's such a cumbersome like combat mechanic. It's like it's just not worth it. And
They're
basically what
also
they're
just
saying,
not really they're also just not really that big of a threat to actually deal with. Like it's way easier to just toss on the like electrification thing for your sea moth, and like if they come near you, you just zap them and continue on your way. Like there was never a point where I thought, "Oh man, I really need to specifically kill this leviathan in order to access something." Like by the end of the game, you're so used to navigating around leviathans anyways, that's just kind of like, well, I'll just swim right past it, and when it comes for me, I'll zap it, and I'll just continue on my way because I
yeah,
got
you have
plenty of power,
defensive
and
moves.
yeah,
Yeah.
like it
Yeah.
that it's doesn't bother you at all.
And yeah, exactly. And that's kind of what this is. Like he's saying, for most of us, it's about seeking cool ways for the players to feel smart about it. Some of the stuff we're talking about is like, what if you build feeders and you can keep the creatures well fed so that they're not interested in you, which is like something you see in real life when people keep alligators as pets, right? Oh, alligators are perfectly safe as long as they're not hungry. So it's like I like this idea that if they have mechanics in place to be like, oh, let's say like those damn sharp tooth guys, I forget what they're the dudes that steal the metal in the first one, like as long as you're not taking their stuff or you're kind of avoiding them, or maybe like if there was a mechanic to where if you drop little bits of metal, you can keep them away from you while you explore because they're too busy getting the metal. Uh, and so it's like, oh yeah, if there's predators around and they're hungry, what if you just research some feeders and put those out like these little hummingbird feeders for
That's
predators?
I mean, that's literally already a thing that existed in the first game of like distracting them via that. That's why I'm like it's such a non-issue because they already had that. Because like in the first one, yeah, if you dropped metal, they left you alone, or
Right.
they would go for the metal first. So it was a
But
distraction thing,
it's
and you
also
could
really
build
tough to
like the
carry so much of
traps.
that around with you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it was just kind of like, yes, they never once did I think, yes, killing is actually the easiest way. I mean, I had so much metal at the end that it was like every other option was presented as easier and made more sense to the game itself. So I never thought, oh man, I really hope they don't take away killing these creatures.
Yeah, it's definitely seems like in this game they've added a lot more tools for the player to use to deal with these sort of passive ways to get rid of the predators, which I think is really cool. I'm like, I would rather have that than just be like if there was a interesting mechanic like that in like Sons of the Forest. It's like, nah, all you could like at least Sons of the like the Forest and Sons of the Forest, they have Sons of the Forest especially. They have more passwords like you can just build defenses like way more than you could in the first one. So you don't have to use your gun. You could just build spikes, defensive walls, traps. So there's like these more passive aggressive, one of these like passive defensive measures you could do to where you don't have to necessarily worry about if you hear something like shuffling around in your base. Like, nah, I built defensive tools. And that's essentially what you'd be doing, it sounds like, with the tools they made, except these tools aren't causing damage, they're distractions. They're keeping them satiated and content in their environment, and to where you're not the disruptor. So it's like maybe if the player, and it's just a guess about how the game works, 'cause it sounds like it's way more systems involved in the pre-systems, where it's like, if what happens if the player mines a resource that they need to use, but turns out that resource they've been mining was the food, and now suddenly this creature's like, fuck, where'd all my food go? I guess I'll eat this dude over here. You know what I mean? It's like, so it's like maybe there's like some environmental impact to your what you're doing, kind of like a Factorio, right? Where it's like, oh, you're expanding too much, now the bugs are after you. Although they just hate the pollution. But so I like that they explain like, look, we have more tools, and maybe people just aren't, maybe not all of them are in place in the early access. But I like that idea of like, yo, we've because that is the bet, like the tension is true. Like I like that, like having that defensive measure of the shield in the first Subnautica is definitely like, it's like a safety mechanism where you feel a little safer, but you still kind of want to avoid having to use it because it takes up battery, right? And so it's like, okay, I'll just wait for him to, the ghost Leviathan to pass, and then I'll go down into the, when you're in the underwater river, and like, okay, now I'll go down the hole into the lava zone, blah blah blah. I gotta wait for the Leviathan to move first.
But
Um,
but even in like the first one, once you have like the rechargeable batteries, and I can't remember what the ion batteries as well, it's like all of that is negated anyways. So you still hit a point where it just doesn't matter that you are like they just don't matter because you're so powerful. So that's like it still has the same progression of every like survivor game ever, which is why I'm kind of like it's not that big of a deal.
and they still have like they have those. Then they introduce those damn leeches that get on your sub, and you're like, okay, well there goes my battery, and then you can't take the sub past the king, right? Because it's like, okay, he'll just, I'm so slow, he'll just blast me. So you got to either get out in your, you got to get it in your prawn and walk around and farm the kyanite crystals, and that's spooky enough when you're trying to dodge them using your little spider web grappling hook to get around. But yeah, it's like I'm totally fine with it. I talked about it previously. Like I don't get why people are so upset. Whatever. I wasn't treating it as a, oh, I better, like I never built any of the torpedo arm for the prawn. I never did that. It's like I never did those because I'm like, it just, I don't know. It didn't seem like that kind of game to me. But yeah, I like this idea that
Same.
there
Never
are
used
better
the prawn for
tools.
torpedo. I did
Yeah.
the grappling hook and like the storage and shit, so I could just Spider-Man around and pick up
Yeah.
stuff.
I've like drill armed some fuckers because I'm like, get off me. And I'm like, just hit him real quick. I'm like, okay, there you go. Take the drill arm and you die. But I'm not like, that's more of a defensive thing. I wasn't going out hunting them like some psycho. But yeah, I like the idea that there's more tools in place to deal with these creatures in a more like passive sense, which I think is really cool. So I'm looking forward to actually experiencing that myself eventually. And then the only other announcement that was semi-related to what was shown this week was, so we'll get into it with in one of the showcases, but they did reveal some 1.0 coming out for No Rest for the Wicked. It was in the the Sony State of Play, but people noticed that, hey, there's 1.0 has no release. There's no release date for console on Xbox, and the developers basically blaming the Xbox Series S for the delay for the launch. Very similar to what we've seen with the likes of Baldur's Gate 3 and a few other games. So it's like,
Dude, yeah.
yeah, someone's what did someone say? Where someone joked like that a mobile version would follow the Xbox and Switch 2 versions, to which the one of the devs replied, the Series S and mobile specs aren't too far apart at this point. So I thought that was pretty
God.
funny.
I wonder if that's actually I mean, I know it's not true, but I do wonder like how true that statement is.
Yeah, because like Black Myth Wukong was another game that was delayed by a year before releasing on consoles. There was some rumors that it was because of the S, but it was never like officially said out loud. But
I
yeah,
mean, it was
it's
always a weird strategy though to basically say like you must release it on both of these concurrently, even though one is the like premium model that has more power, because it does mean that you just have to develop like a downscaled game, and it's the same issue that, Sony ran into when they were saying PS3 has to play or like PS4 and PS3 releases have to both work, and then like PS5 and PS4, you have to support both of them. And they ran into it, I think, with Final Fantasy both times, where it was like with 11, they had issues when it was, well, I guess back to PS2 at that point, and then with 14 with PS4, where it's just like eventually you get to a point where it's an outdated console. Like that's
yeah.
what happens.
And it's just even it's in the same generation, which is what's worse. It's like, okay, and it also makes you wonder, like, okay, not every game has done this. There's only been a couple games, so I'm wondering if it's just, and not to put the blame on the devs, but like, we're not seeing this across the board for every single studio that's releasing games on both platforms. So it's like, are their engines, are they just not scalable enough to where,
I mean,
like with a PC, you got to work
but
on a
like
lot of stuff,
Baldur's Gate was it seems like it happens with like really big games. Like Baldur's Gate, that does kind of make sense to me because there's so much shit you can do in that game. It wouldn't be a surprise to me if it was
well,
just like, okay, you just can't do it on older hardware or like you
Bal-
can't
Bal-
do it well.
Baldur's Gate's issue was you needed feature parity. And Baldur's Gate on consoles had split screen multiplayer. They could not get that to work on the S. It was too much because essentially you're double rendering. And they couldn't do it. That's why they couldn't do it. So it wasn't that the game couldn't run, it's that they couldn't use this one feature. So Xbox was like, if you can't have feature parity, which makes sense to me for feature parity, then you can't release on one, and you can't have one with the function that the other one doesn't. And like that made sense. But I'm wondering for games like No Rest for the Wicked, like they didn't say it's the same thing like split screen. They just say, oh, it's coming out later because they got to work this. So I'm like wondering if it's just again, goes back to like a scaling issue with their engine for consoles. But yeah, it's just again, just the only other story that kind of came out from this week that wasn't related to the showcases. Anyways, let's jump into the showcases. I'm not going to cover PlayStation didn't have a whole lot, so we can kind of go through them. But when I get to like Summer Game Fest, I'm not going to go through everything. If there's something I missed that you saw, I don't know if you actually went back and watched. You said you didn't really go back and watch too much stuff. I can cover like some
Just
of
the
the bigger things.
highlights.
If it's like a game that we've already seen and just another trailer, I'm not going to call it out. And I don't think in the list that I have here it shows the release dates for any of the games. Like so I don't think that's there. But anyways, let's go ahead and start with Sony State of Play. So they opened with a 8-minute clip of like Wolverine. I'm like, okay, that's cool, but I've seen Wolverine. I don't need to see anymore. So it's like kind of a weird thing to open with because it's going to release in September. And this is the other thing we're going to learn too is that September is too fucking packed because of fucking GTA 6, man. It's like I'm so mad. And like
They
cuz
basically just everything in September. Just
I'm
everything.
so uninterested in Grand Theft Auto 6. It's insane that it annoys me that everybody else is so afraid.
I
And
agree.
I
It
can't.
feels like a relic of the past with how popular it is. Not that it's not a popular game, but it truly feels like Grand Theft
They
Auto was like it is a relic of a different
of a
time when
time.
it was
Yeah.
more popular.
Yeah, like I played 4. I didn't like I played 3 when it came out because that was like the big I was like, "Oh, it was the big revolution." And it's like, "Okay, I played that." I got 4 just I happened to be at a Best Buy and I was getting something else and I was like, "I guess I'll get 4." I didn't care. I played it. I had fun, but I'm not a GTA person. It's like I'm not like a big Star Wars person, but I go and I watch the movies. But I'm not like, "Oh my god, it's the next one," stuff like that or like Harry Potter the movies back in the day was the same way. But then like 5 came out, I was like, I'll play 5 just so I'm in the conversation. Because we were doing the podcast, of course, at the time. So it's like, okay, well, I'll talk about it here, blah, blah, blah. But it's like I didn't necessarily, it wasn't like it didn't blow my socks away. On like so I was like, yeah, it was I had fun, but it wasn't like the story didn't blow me away. I didn't necessarily care about some of the characters and when I had to play them, I'm like, I don't care about these characters. But yeah, it's like whatever. And I'm not interested at all in and I'm like, I know I've played 2, and I've played Red Dead Redemption 2 and 1, and 2 is very much like just a slowed down GTA kind of, but a little more, realistic and yada yada. It's like, okay, I don't know if I really want to play that kind of game right now. That's gonna take way too long, and it's like,
It
okay, it's
just
like
seems
satire, but
overly popular. Like
it's yeah,
overly
it is weird.
popular and it's like I'm not again, not saying they're bad games, but yeah, I played San Andreas and then I played, 4 when it came out briefly. And then I was just kind of like, yeah, what used to be really like surprising about these games was essentially the fact that like you could do anything. There were very few limitations to the world. Like the world felt alive. And that was kind of one of the big selling points. It felt alive and you could be morally gray or just an asshole. You could pretty much do anything you wanted. And then since then, basically every other game has adopted that model. So they don't really feel particularly unique anymore, aside from being like a theft game. The driving's not even that great. So it's kind of like, I don't know. They just don't feel that unique anymore. They don't feel special.
Yeah, they're just like they're fun sandbox games to play when you're not like stuck like doing a mission, you're just doing something, else, or you have like a more open mission. It's not like very story moment. It's like they're fun like you could have like fun little emergent storytelling bits in them, but to me, they're not everlasting. You know what I mean? Like I can remember a lot about plenty of other games I played where it's like, oh yeah, this and that. It's like, but with GTA, it's like I can play them, I will have fun, but once I'm done, I'm never like, oh man, I miss going back to the good old days or whatever. So the other thing too that's weird with GTA is like, people are like, oh man, it's taken like way too long for the final season of Stranger Things, or it's taken way too long for the next Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse movie. And it's like, you know how long it is between these GTA, and they're not the difference is they're not the same story, so it's like a continuation, it's an entirely different game. But I'm like, they're so far apart, these games, and like you're gonna play them, so it's like you don't apply that same bit here. But anyways, I did it's I'm like I've been over kind of that that game for a long time. But yeah, it's like making everybody push their dates into September is driving me bonkers, man.
And
But
like
yeah,
half
they
these
show
games don't actually seem like they would compete with Grand Theft Auto, which is the really interesting part to me. Like
that's what
they're
yeah.
such different genres. I'm like, do you really think that like the clientele you're going for are going to be pulled away by Grand Theft Auto?
And I think
I
like
maybe.
it'll sell well, and not because like everybody enjoys it, but it's just like the gravity of everyone's talking about this. It kind of like Wii Sports. Like, yeah, it was like one of the best selling things. Like, okay, well, one, it came with the Wii, so everybody probably played it. But that doesn't mean everybody, there wasn't better things for them to do. But yeah, well, I'm really curious how it's gonna do. Um, but I'm like again, I'm sure it'll be fun and people have enjoy it. But I'm like, there's such a huge generation of kids. I mean, it's been so long. It was 2013 when GTA 5 came out. So unless kids growing up played one of the multiple upgraded iterations on other consoles, PS4, PS5, PC, stuff like that. Did it come to PC? Whatever. Um, like unless they did that, that's 13 years ago, man. Like, do they care? Does this generation of gamers care? Like, do they care about GTA? You know what I mean? Or is it just the old hats who've been around and playing it? But anyway, let's move on from GTA. It's not part of any of these showcases. It was just a side note of it pushing anything. So anyway, so Wolverine, September 15th. That's when it's going to come out. They showed more Marvel Token Fighting Souls. I didn't really care about that. They showed the rumored or leaked Rayman Legends Retold from Ubisoft. That's coming out in October. I've never played a Rayman game. I played the demos. I've never actually played them, so maybe I'll actually play a Rayman game. Maybe the kids will like it or something. I don't know.
I'm
Then they
surprised by
announced,
that because Rayman is one of the better like adult platformers with some of the difficulty levels and special levels. It's
yeah,
kind of a
I
good
just
one for like if you enjoy platforming games.
I stopped doing platformers. Like the only platformer franchise I continued after PS1 and Mario 64 was Tomb Raider, and I don't not many other. And then later, eventually, Uncharted. But there's less platforming of this style.
Well,
Like this is
you
more.
like you like Oddworld though.
Yeah, but there's not real that's not really platforming. That's like a treadmill or it's like a sprint, like, okay, you're solving a puzzle. Like, okay, there's a slig over here. I gotta save these guys, but there's no real like platforming isn't thing. It's more like that's more like a puzzle game. You're like, how do I save these Mudokons? There's sligs and slogs, there's scrabs and paramites, you know what I mean? So like that's what you're possessing people, like that's
Legs and
it in
Slogs, Slabs and Pear.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's all the creatures,
sure,
right? But like Rayman, it's more like the Mario style, the Crash Bandicoot style. And I stopped
sure.
playing Crash Bandicoot after PlayStation One, and so it's like that was when I played a lot of platformers. Was that era? I didn't play many platformers in like PS2, except again going back to Tomb Raider. But those are more like they're not the side-scrolling platformers. Like I stopped playing side-scrolling platformers. I didn't play Ori in the Blind Forest or any stuff like that. I yeah, I hardly played many, so it's like I just never played Rayman. And plus, it was again, this goes back to when you're a kid, you don't have all the money in the world, so you kind of just
Sure.
whatever franchise you're in, you play that. Yada yada.
Well,
So I had my franchises.
Rayman's a good one. You should check it out. It's a fun
Yeah.
one. It's one of the
Again, I
ones
play.
I prefer more than others.
I played the demo. He is voicing this. I guess he wasn't voicing OG, but I'm wondering if it's the same voice actor who did the Captain Laserhawk, uh, like Ubisoft Universe anime that was on Netflix. Blood Dragon Captain Laserhawk anime. So I think it might be the same there because he was voiced in that. But then they announced Bancho the Chef, which is like a Dave the Diver DLC. I'm like, that game is like, I guess it must be good if now there's more DLC for even more DLC for Dave the Diver. So it's like a prequel DLC, I guess. I don't know. I was like, okay, whatever. I don't know what this is. Then
That's a
we had
game
a
that I feel like I never gave it attention because of the name. and then everyone fucking loves it, and then I'm still just like, should I go back and play it? Like, people love this game. Do I need to play it?
Yeah, NL played it in early access like the year before it came out. Like he was one of the first people, and I watched. It was like, I guess is okay, but it's like there was just so much to it. It was like 1,000 games in one, and which is why he stopped playing it because like it was just doing too much.
Right.
But I get people love it. I'm like, okay, go for it. Have whatever floats your boat, man. I'm not gonna yuck anybody's yums except for Grand Theft Auto. But yeah. Then we had a new trailer for getting an official title called Kamuri Hunt the Unseen. This is a game that was previously shown a couple years ago in an announcement trailer. I forget where it might have been the Game Awards. I forget when it was from, but it's from the former dev from who worked on what was that studio's name that did The Evil Within and then was doing Ghostwire Tokyo. Um, I'm blanking on their name. But she worked in there. She came out, I'm blanking on her name as well. But like she became like a meme from a showcase. But this is her game at her studio that she's doing. I wish they put her name in this fucking article. It kind of pisses me off that they didn't. But whatever. That got a showcase. I'm like, okay, that game again. And then the confirmed rumor that Tomb Raider Legacy of Atlantis is delayed out of this year because it was supposed to come out in 2026 when the new game was going to come out in 2027. It got delayed to February 12th, so that's no longer coming out this year. That got another trailer. Then a game called The Lost Wild, which is like, so they have that Jurassic Park first person alien isolation type game that's coming out. And then they have this, which is like the same thing where there's like dinosaurs on a location and you're trying to sneak past them. It's coming out in 2027. I'm like, what the heck is this? Like, it's from Annapurna as well, which is weird. But yeah, I'm sure it could be fun. Then there's another trailer for Phantom Blade Zero. It's like, okay, that's coming out the 29th of October. So that got a release date there. Then Dune Awakening, I guess, is getting like a single player mode, so you don't have to play online, and it'll be coming to PS5 on the 22nd of September. Then there was the announcement of the Dynasty Warriors 3 Complete Edition Remastered, the No Rest for the Wicked 1.0 release, as I mentioned, that's coming in October, so it'll be launched on PS5. It is on PC right now, but they announced 1.0. They showed another trailer for Onimusha Way of the Sword. That's getting a release date of the 25th. They showed another trailer for Silent Hill Townfall. That's got a release date for the 24th of September. So it's like another September game. It's like, God. And then Ace Combat
Okay,
8.
sorry, just the other thing about Grand Theft Auto. I know we're moved on from it. I would be way more worried if I was all of these games by pushing my game to a month that has 30 other games in it now.
Well, I'm sure it's like they all made these announcements that internally to put into the showcase. They probably had no idea that everybody else is doing the same thing.
Like it feels like they did this and made it worse for themselves. Anyways, final comment on GTA.
Yeah. So the Silent Hill Townfall, it's like that should have just been October, man. Make it an October game. That would have been like the game for October that everybody chose over the other stuff.
I think September makes sense for that because you want to get it in September so that if you're playing it, like not everyone cruises through a game in a week so that it like carries you into October. So that one I can kind of buy. Like September, October, that's fine. But
I guess it just seems like you'd want to play it during like Halloween. But
that game looks shockingly like average. I'm kind of bummed about it, but I'm still probably gonna check it out and remain hopeful.
Yeah. And then Ace Combat 8 Wings of Thief got another trailer that's coming out the 2nd of October. Then they announced surprise announcement of Stuntman Hollywood. So the Stuntman franchise, which is coming back. It's like, okay, it was like a game I always wanted to get back on PS2 that I never got. But yeah, Stuntman's coming back. No release date on that, but that got announced. There's some more like story trailer focus for a game called Ill that was revealed a ways back, kind of like with the spooky babies and naked zombie guys or whatever. It's by the same team that did Atomic Heart, which made total sense to me when I heard that because the dialogue in the trailer was really bad. I was like, oh, okay, this makes sense because it kind of matches. The tone of the dialogue does not match the tone of the gameplay. Like the gameplay is like dark, spooky, scary. Oh, this will be really fun. The dialogue, not at all. Totally different game. It's like, okay, more like bro shooter kind of stuff and just bad acting. But anyways, that game looks fun. I'll look forward to playing that. But that comes out in 2027. Another trailer for Control Resident again. I'm tired to see more trailers. They showed a trailer for this as well in Summer Game Fest was annoying. But that comes out the 24th of September as well. Marathon Season 2, RuneScape Dragon Wows was shown. It's a survival crafting game from Jagex, coming on PS5 later this year. In the autumn, is what it says. It'll be available on PS Plus Extra and Premium from launch. So interesting. I guess it's been out for a while on PC, but it's coming to PlayStation. And then they showed a bunch of other stuff. Another trailer for Onimusha Dawn of Dreams that comes out in August of this year. And then the announcement of Until Dawn 2 was made, which was surprising. But it's not by Supermassive. It's by Fire Sprite, which is the other studio that Sony has, because Supermassive obviously did Directive 8020, and they did the original Until Dawn. But yeah, it I'm all for more games. I mean, as silly as those games can be, they're fun to play. The little choose your own adventure
Yeah,
style.
those are like good Halloween games. I was happy with that announcement. That was one of the few ones that I was actually like, oh, I'm surprised this is an announcement and I wasn't expecting this. I feel like
Yeah,
most of the games I kind of knew were coming.
yeah, and Neil Newbon is in it as a character. That'll be fun. He's always fun, but he looks like himself instead of well, I mean, he looked like himself in Detroit Become Humans, but it's also got the actor, and I'm blanking on his name, who was in Stranger Things seasons 2 and 3. What is the actor's name? His name. What was his name, man? Darcy Montgomery. He played Billy. He's in it. He's one of the main characters as well. So someone who I recognize. But yeah, looking forward to Until Dawn 2. It's coming out 2027. We'll see. And then they had I kind of wish I didn't know that this game was in the works, because the title card got leaked for it a while back, and the idea for it also got leaked, at least that you would play as Faye. But they had like a 20-minute gameplay section for showing God of War Lufe, which is the next God of War title, which is in parallel to God of War 2018. So it's like, they burn Faye at the pyre. Bye, Mom. Gonna collect your ashes and, let them out in the highest point in the realm. And she goes to the afterlife of the gods. And
That is a
something's wrong.
bummer that you had that leaked because I did not have that leaked and was kind of caught off guard by it, and that was a nice surprise too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when I heard it was leaked, I was like, okay. My concern was it was going to be a prequel, but being in parallel, I really like. I like, instead of prequels, I wish there was more in parallel. I talk about it a lot with Space Marine 2. I love that the side missions in Space Marine 2 are stuff that other squads are doing in tandem to what you do in the main campaign. Like, oh, I need to go shut down this tower, that's broadcasting a signal. But this other thing has to happen first for that to work. So another squad goes and takes care of it. So when you play that side mission for that level, you're doing that thing where you're helping out the main character take out the big thing. So I love that there's it's the in parallel kind of stuff. And this is kind of cool. It's like, okay, it's happening at the same time. Is there a time difference between the realm of the gods? Like, do things move slower or faster? You know what I mean? Like, is she going to have any influence that's retconned into the first game? Because I
I,
can't imagine there could be, but
I do feel like that's what they always do is they try to retcon in some like important reason of like, oh, this weird thing you struggled with in the first game that you like somehow were able to overcome. It was actually, Lao Fei who helped you overcome it. Like they always
but
do
I,
something like that.
I would what I would love to see is, because she's in the afterlife of the gods, the two gods we see there are gods of war for each of their religions. And I wanted I'd be really curious to see if it was something like, if they tie it back to the end of God of War 3, where it's like after Kratos destroyed Olympus and Zeus, there became like a power vacuum for that region of the world for a new, not religion, but ideology, I guess, pantheon to take over. And like there was a war of like, oh, who's going to expand their territory? And so the gods of war would of course be doing that, and Tyr would probably be like, nah, we shouldn't do this. But Tyr's been missing, right? Like he's gone. But that's why, like in 2018 or in Ragnarok, you're like, where's Tyr? And spoilers, he's been locked up. So it's like, how long has he been locked up? And without his diplomacy, because he was all about diplomacy with the other gods of war, is like it's like, this is going to be a really weird analogy, but before World War One, there was a German general leading up to, like, there's all these treaties in place. Like, hey, I have a treaty with this country. If someone attacks you, we'll help you. And everybody kind of had like these weird webs of treaties with each other. like these defensive treaties, to where it kind of prevented anybody from going to war with anybody because it's like it's just so complex, like this web of treaties, right? And then right before World War One, the powers that be ousted this general, like, okay, he's gone. But he's the only one who like understood and was like more diplomatic with this stuff. So they got rid of him, and that kind of led to him being gone. Really, kind of led these people who didn't know what they were doing, kind of come up with the ideas, and leading up to World War One. Yeah, it's a very simplified version of it, but it's essentially that. So it's like, is Tyr like the guy who's kind of keeping everybody in line? Like, hey, let's not expand into that region that got flooded. Let's let it come back, on its own. Maybe some new whoever comes back and populates will start their own religion, and maybe like if you start a religion, does that make the gods come? Like, how do the gods come to life, right? Like, is it by the thoughts of the people, or did they pre-exist ahead of time and then influence people and feed them the idea of them? Like, how does that work? So I wonder if it's like that. It's like, but with him gone, they fight, because how did these two god of wars end up in the afterlife of the gods, right? They're dead. So what did they do? Did they go to war for that region? Did they, you know what I mean? So it's like, what that could be an interesting idea if they kind of explored that as well, to kind of tie it into an earlier God of War franchise. But anyways, no idea what's going on here. They didn't say much. Awesome trailer. It reminded me a lot of the 2018 trailer, where it's just a big, long, uncut 20-minute segment. We got to see two new characters, with Rue being the ribbons on the sword, and Frank with the PH as the cube. It's like, oi, cubey. Odin done killed me wife and took my son. But because it's voiced by Jack Wade. But anyways,
I
it
mean,
looks
yeah,
good.
that one surprised me. It looks good. I'm excited for it.
You get a jump button back. You can double jump. She does a twist. I was wondering, that twist looks so familiar. And even someone else in Iraq was like, who else does that twist? And I think the Kena Bridge of Spirits, she does the same kind of
So
twist when she double
yeah,
jumps. Yeah. But yeah, it, like I said, it looks gorgeous. Like, even way more than Ragnarok already did. Like, it looks really good. For some reason, for me, the scene when the one Egyptian god, I'm blanking on her name, when she has her finger under Faye's chin and her nails like go under her skin, and then the light shines on them, and it's like the way light reflects off a body of water and it hits them. For some reason, that looked so good to me. I was like, especially because like they're wincing and when they're looking at it, and just the way the light hits them, and there's like, you can see the depth of the character models. It looked so impressive. I don't know why, but that to me was like, holy shit, this looks so good. Like, the character models look good already, but because I can see more depth, and like just the way the light, and the way you can see like the way the light also bounces and like glows, has like that light halo. It's like, it looks so good to me. I was like, this is awesome. But what's I'm wondering about is, she gets the sword. Okay, there's something special with the sword. Is it the sword in the stone? I don't know. It doesn't look like it. It looks more fantastical and mythical than that. But Rue is the ribbons on it, and her attacks with the ribbons look a lot like the Blades of Chaos. So I'm like, okay, I like the idea that I have a sword that essentially is the axe, and I have the ribbons, which are the Blades of Chaos. So I have two weapons at the same time. Because in God of War, you can only use, one. You could transition from one to another in a combo, but you can only use one at a time. And I like this idea, like, ooh, I can do base melee plus these fun sweeping AoE attacks. That looks really cool. I like that idea. But then it's like, also, okay, will I get other weapons? Like, is the usual for God of War? Like, obviously God of War 2018, you only got the axe and then the Blades of Chaos, and then you got another one in later on. You get that spear in Ragnarok. But in the older games, you usually got multitude of weapons. You'd have like the blades, you had a sword, you had gauntlets, like you had very different amounts of weapons that you unlock over the course of the game. So I'm wondering, like, are there going to be other weapons that she gets, or is it like just this one, and we expand our attacks with,
I mean,
because it's two?
yeah, they've done it well with both though, of like in the older games where you get a ton of weapons, or in the recent ones where it's like you had very limited arsenal. They've done it well with both.
I mean, I'd be fine if it's just the one and you're just expanding combos, because again, it's two weapons in one, which I think is great. But yeah, Comet looks good, looks really good. I was watching someone, and like that
Yeah,
part where
that
she good.
oh yeah, that game looks fantastic, and that one was a surprise for me because I guess I'd somehow avoided the leaks for it, so that caught me off guard and was kind of like, oh, this is a good one.
I'm glad. It's funny. Like, I'm kind of glad it's like PS5 only, because like for whatever reason, Faye's model in the flashback scenes of Ragnarok, they don't look great. It's like, you didn't put as much like I feel like it's not as high res or triangle count as Kratos and Atreus and everybody else in that game. Like for some reason I was like, oh, like I know it's Deborah Ann Woll, like I can see that, but she looks like she's not as it's like she's in like 720p and Kratos is in 4K or something. Like her model like didn't look super great in those cutscenes. And I'm like, she's barely in it. You could have like made a better model. So it's nice to see she has like a really good model in this one. And stuff like that. So uh but that's I was watching someone react to it because I was really curious to see about reactions. It's always fun to go back and watch those. But like, Frank's like, oh, you made that explosion? Can you take care of this? And like she's gonna blow up the container. And so she blows the container and launches her cage cart into the air. And someone reacts like, what's going on? And I'm like, do you not pay attention like to what's happening here? Like she blew up a big canister thing and it clearly launched the cage because she's falling around in it. Like, what do you mean what's going on? It was just this weird, I don't know. I was disappointed in this person. And then I don't know. Some people are like, it's so weird. Some folks who've watching reactions from big outlets, and some people being like they don't know what the story is, and because of that they have concerns. But I'm like, but in the inverse, how many movie trailers have we seen where they go, oh, this trailer showed too much? Like that new trailer just came out for The House on the End of the Street. I don't know if you've seen it.
No, I
uh
haven't watched it yet.
I think it's by the person who did It Follows. I think it's produced by Spielberg, maybe. But it's like that trailer came out, and it's very much like that's like a tone trailer. Like you can watch that trailer, you don't even need. That's not like spoiling time. It's like okay, something weird is happening. I'm interested, and it's like yeah, I don't need to. They don't need to tell me like everything that Faye has to do in her journey. Like just be excited for the story. Like I don't get what the problem is. Like the gameplay will be good. The game looks great. Like why do you need the
Well, you
story
also I was gonna
spoiled?
say you also just don't really want to know what happens in the story. Like, yeah, the whole point of going into something like that is so that you can experience the story and be
Right.
surprised.
And it's also like they say like she can't pass on because the gate's closed. So however, like she's in the realm of the gods, which I'm curious, like are giants considered like partly gods or something? Like, or is like their aura about them, I guess because they have that kind of like future sight. Is that like a godly power and that's why they can go and it annoyed me too. This other person was like, oh, we all knew that giants are just human sized. I'm like, did you not fight Angerboda's grandma in Ragnarok? She is not human sized, brother. And neither is the fucking snake. when Atreus puts the soul of the giant in the snake. Like they can choose to be human sized, man. So which makes me wonder, like, is there gonna be a moment where we have a God of War 1 Pandora's box situation when you fought Ares and Kratos became giant with the power of Pandora's box? And
That
then
was an absurd moment. Like,
it's very, very PS2. But like we
yeah,
have something like that in Ragnarok because we see the Midgard serpent fight Thor. Thor's small still, of course, but like they fight each other in during Ragnarok. So I'm like, and there is that giant tiger, Egyptian tiger thing. So I'm like, okay, do we fight that in like big mode? I don't know, like wrestle a tiger. But that would
that would
be
be, I don't know, silly.
it would it'd be I feel like it'd be probably a too silly for God of War to make you be a giant character, but it's like it's not unheard of.
It's
They've
not
had
unheard of, but like given the direction they've gone recently, it would be they could still do it. They could still pull it off well, but they would maybe have to approach the tone of it a little differently than the
because
first
they
one with
well,
Ares.
it's just because like it'd be so weird to have a power that they never tap into. Like she's a
Well,
giant.
never tap into and would like instantly solve almost every conflict that you've been in God of War.
Well, I think it should only be like a maybe a one time thing. Like obviously her magic she's having trouble with. Maybe get back, and it's like is changing size like what is the step to do that? Is it just at will, or is it more like is it more magic involved? Like Loki's cut that out. Like the shape shifting. Like is it like
You
okay,
could,
uh you know what I mean? Like is it a separate magic to do it?
yeah.
But yeah, so it'd be they don't need to do it, but it would be weird like if they never did it. But like one time I think would be interesting. But
So was that the
she
game you're most excited for from the game show?
from Sony's I mean yeah, I'm excited for more God of War and from a different perspective. I think that's really cool. Plus like because you're in the realm of the gods, now we get to see all those pantheons we always talk about. Oh, it'd be like Assassin's Creed style. It'd be cool if Kratos went here next. if he went here next. But it's like I don't want to wait for those games. I like the idea of having like this amuse bouche of everybody's this multi platter of here's all these different ideologies and everything and religions, and it's like they're
It
here.
it would be a cool way to handle it because that has been like the main, not like theory crafting thing, but it's been like the main hope from people since probably the very first game of like, oh man, it'd be great to see the gods of wars of different religions and pantheons. So it would be cool to toss them all in and have like little worlds dedicated to each. I could see that being an incredible game.
Yeah, like if there's more of them there, and they have also creatures from their realms or something, so you can fight like those creatures specific to those mythologies. Because like it also makes sense where she is because in God of War 2, he goes to stab Zeus, and Athena jumps in the way, and he kills her, and then she shows up as a ghost in 3 because she says like she's ascended. So clearly, like there's a realm above where they are, and like this idea of the everyone makes sense. It's like, okay, is that what happens when you go through the gate? Like you ascend up and you could go back as a ghost and revisit people like Athena did with Kratos? Um, or is it like, so could we run into other old God of War gods? You know what I mean? Other Greek gods in this area. Like when did the gate close? We don't know. I assume it was when Tyr got captured because he couldn't, keep the peace or something. But so then like Gods of War go up there, they close it down. Who knows? But anyways, we'll see. I am interested. But yeah, from that, like I'm excited for obviously a lot of games coming out excited. I'm looking forward to like again the
Well, I mean, there were other ones that are like known. Like I'm excited for Control Resonant, but that game's
yeah
been
yeah
shown and talked about
of the
constantly.
new.
Yeah.
Yes, I am excited for now that I've seen it after seeing the leaked title image. I am excited to. One of the things is weird. Like she talks about there's a character like, oh, there's a mask on like a skeleton, and a lot of people were saying like, oh, that's the same mask that Odin has. Like they're not the same. Because if you look at Odin's mask, the mask of creation that he has, it's when it's fully assembled, it's like made of wood. It's kind of more like Loki from The Mask with Jim Carrey. It's like a wooden mask, a little more, way more wooden, less rivets in it.
Loki from The Mask with Jim Carrey. That's one of
Yeah,
my favorite that's one of my favorite fan theories.
but they're not the same. Like the mask before it falls apart is way more designed and like inscribed in more like metal or stone, whereas the mask of creation is just it's wood and it's way more like curvy, like it's made out of roots kind of stuff. So they're like not quite the same to me, but people just jump to that. So I don't know. We'll see what happens there. But that was Sony's State of Play. Decent. Like I said, the new announcements of God of War for everybody to know the leaks, and then Stuntman. A lot of people are excited for that, and then obviously Until Dawn 2. I'm looking forward to that. That'll be fun. And then moving on from that, we had we had a lot of stuff in between. I didn't catch everything that was showcased in all the stuff in between because they're all at bad times. I couldn't watch them because it's all like it's so weird to have it. It's like I'm sorry, man, but not all the kids are watching this during their summer break. It's like not quite yet. Also, it's like summer didn't just start for a lot of people. Like this was the last week of school for a lot of people. But anyways, we had the Summer Game Fest. It opened strong with the rumored Resident Evil Veronica remake. So Code Veronica is getting a remake, which is called Resident Evil Veronica. I clocked it like immediately because I'm like, this clearly is like when they're pushing the button and they're talking. When that old lady answers the door, I'm like, this is the RE engine. Like this is it. I
It
could
looks
tell.
very
Like
obvious.
I didn't call that it was Veronica, but I'm like, this is the RE engine. I'm like, I don't know how people don't clock this immediately. Like, how are you? Like, you could tell by the way it looks, and especially because she says, "Oh, you're the American who's come to see your brother up on the third floor." I'm like, okay. When she said that, I'm like, oh, this is Claire. This is Veronica. Like, because of that line, like that's what this must be. But yeah, so it'll be. I'm looking forward to that. That'll be fun. No release date on that yet. Just next year sometime.
Yeah, that one wasn't it was semi surprising. It wasn't like terribly surprising because it is kind of the next logical step of what they should do with the RE engine now that they've done 4 and uh now Requiem. Like Veronica kind of makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. It's like okay. I'm glad they went back to this. I don't think Veronica because it launched on Dreamcast and then came to PS2. I don't think they've done anything for that one ever. Like they have like Resident Evil 1 on the GameCube. They did that version. 4 obviously had 2 versions with the GameCube and the PS2, and then the VR one or not VR one, but like the motion control for the Wii version. So it's like it's nice to see this. I played this one the least. It does have one of my favorite cutscenes with Wesker and Veronica in it, but yeah, well, I'd be
Cutscenes
curious.
that, guess I
It's just
shouldn't
one.
spoil it, but
well, I don't know if you've ever played Veronica, but they
No.
probably won't have it because it's I'm sure they'll redo it. Like it was just this scene where like he just does like this backflip because he doesn't want to fight Veronica. It was just like at the time it was like, oh, that's so cool. But yeah, it's I don't remember a ton of this one. Like I remember how it starts because it's interesting the way they do the story in that one because unlike two, it was a lot like three in the sense that like you start off as Claire and then you cut back as Chris arriving to the island. Because I think you go to like this island in the OG one looking for Chris, but then he's not actually there. But then he goes to the island because he's looking for you, and like you meet up eventually. So like you play one bit as Claire, you play one bit as Chris. And then
When does Veronica take place compared to the other?
it's after 2 and 3. It's before 4 because it came out before RE4 did. But it's like isolated on this little island. The story for it, again, spoilers if you don't want to any cover your ears, but like it's very isolated because you're on an island and like I think there are people who might have been related to Spencer or someone like an investor or something, but like they're trying to make their own version of the virus. And they call it the Code Veronica virus because they're trying to save like a family member.
So it goes
Um,
back to like the original virus, though. It's T virus.
it's more like mutated, like they're trying to change it to where she doesn't turn into a like a zombie. Like they're trying to like it's a Mr. Freeze situation. Like she's sick and they're trying to save her, so they're trying to like make the
Gotcha.
virus good enough. But then, like, of course, that doesn't happen, and you end up fighting Veronica. Blah blah blah. So yeah, we'll see what they do with this one. But it should be fun because it the way it opens, like with that like shot of like Paris or whatever, it's like that's not how it happens. Like I think you start on the island. So it's interesting that it's like, oh, you go here first, blah blah blah. So I'll be curious to see what they change. And you don't get kidnapped, I don't think. I think you do get captured as Claire, if I recall, and then you get saved by Chris. But that whole like she getting grabbed by like one of the soldiers or whatever, I'm like, that isn't how it opened. So it's like that's a little different. So I'll be curious how they change it. And it'll be fun too, because like again, that being like the one I remember the least. Like I remember the opening bit when Chris arrives, and like fighting, going through this little tunnel. I think there's like some worm enemies you fight. I don't remember a lot of like the big monsters like of that because I again I only played that one. I don't even know if I owned it or if I just someone else had it. I might have owned it. Got it as a Christmas gift, but like that's the one I because there's no other versions. I played the least. I think I might have only played it twice. So that'll be really fun to go back and revisit because I remember so much of all the other games that I don't recall much of this one, except like the big cutscene with Wesker, the main bad guy, blah blah blah, and like the general beat of the story. But like location wise, I don't remember a lot of it.
Cool.
So that'll be cool. Looking forward to that one. Then we got the announcement of a Cuphead sequel plus like an 8-bit spin-off little game that's going to be coming out. I didn't play Cuphead, but I know a lot of people are excited for that.
Looked cool. I mean, it looked like a nicely designed game. I didn't play Cuphead, and I feel like just it was the lag of it being on a different console, and then it took a while to release. Like I never actually got around to playing it, but looked cool. It was a good surprise.
Yeah, I like the Mighty Cuphead Adventure spinoff though, like being more that pixel style. I was like, I'd probably like the cartoon style, the old cartoon look of Cuphead just kind of was. I mean, I wasn't about it, so it's like one of the reasons I also didn't play it. But I like the way
Which
that
is
the
funny because
pixel
that was kind of one of the like big selling points of it was the
right.
cartoon style and how much people enjoyed that.
Oh yeah, and being hand drawn, that's really dope. Like it's really cool. It's not for me.
Yeah,
Um,
that's fair.
but I do like the Pixel one. And then we got finally the long awaited sequel to Alien Isolation with Alien Isolation 2, which unfortunately gets abbreviated to AI2 in the trailer, which is like, I know you got the colon in there, but okay. But I love the idea that it's more like aliens, like where you're on a colony. So it's like, okay, you're not in space, which is fine. I don't have to be in space, but you're on this colony, and it's like, okay, there were a lot of aliens in Alien Isolation at the end there, so maybe there'll be a lot more. But I'm really excited for Alien Isolation too.
It looked like a
Never,
great game. I mean, I'm excited. I think it'll be fun. It's like way too early to tell anything about it, but Alien Isolation was fantastic. Too
I hope it's
long,
not
but
47 hours,
fantastic.
but yeah.
Yeah.
But
Aside from the length,
I think a lot of that too is on me because whenever I watch someone play it who's good, like they hide in ways I'm like, I never trusted. I'm like, really? You're just hiding under the gurney? Like like for me, I'm like, I got to be under a big ass conference table or in a locker, and I'm in the locker for way too long. And I'm like, I probably should use my items way more to distract the alien. But anyways, I didn't do that. Then we got a new trailer for what's now being called Gen Atlas, which was originally had a code name I think codename Giant Robot. This
Yeah,
is
it was
from
like
the
Codename Robot or something like
yeah,
that.
and it looks at it. I'm like, okay, this could be fun. Like you go around some world, you're piloting a head. Very reminds me of very Metal Gear style because you're doing like these giant rock'em sock'em robot fights. You're also shooting a gun at some creatures trying to get your ships. It's like this could be interesting. Like going around exploring an old world with all these like old robots that are out of commission, and you're
I
kind of
mean,
like refurbishing them.
it's a fun premise. Like
Yeah,
all of his games are always like weird and can be good, so it will just depend on the execution. I think it looks like a really interesting world, and I'm kind of excited about like how different it is. Because it does look pretty different than usual. It's got like a very somber, melancholy kind of feel to it, and I love that in the game.
yeah. And then there was a trailer for a game called Blood Message. It takes place in like I think that's the one where it's like, oh, it's 600 what AD or something like way back in China or something like that. I was like, okay, I guess I'm trying to look at this trailer here, but oh, I can't. This damn embedded video doesn't let me change the time because I was saying, but I was like that one was like okay, whatever, it looks fine. Um, then there was a game called Hex that got shown, which kind of reminded me of like a first person oh, what's that game that I played? I didn't beat. Oh my god, with the sword and like the ghostly images of like the no face ghosts. Fuck, what's it called, man? I have it. I have it on PlayStation.
You
Gotta look at my
talking about? I don't think you're talking about Ghostwire
I s-
Tokyo.
no, I streamed it. It was like a third person. There's no map. You go run around. There's like soldiers. You have a sword. You're fighting people. I played it, man. Why am I blanking on the name? I gotta log in my PlayStation app. But it reminds me of like a first person version of that, um, where let me go to my library. Oh god, what is it called? Sorry, I gotta look. Hell is
Yeah,
Us. There we go. Hell is Us. It reminds me of like a first person Hell is Us because I was like spooky creatures and there's some weird shit going on. And like I guess it's like a 1 to 4 player co-op survival FPS, but like you can also it's got procedurally generated environments and you can spawn like these big old structures or whatever. Like it looks interesting. Again, it reminds me of it's set in a Nordic wilderness overtaken by aliens. It reminds me a lot of Hell is Us, but like a first person version of it. I'm like, this looks interesting, but you have to manage body temperature, thirst, and more while surviving the harsh elements. So I'm like, okay. I mean, if it has fun crafting stuff, like it's like a Sons of the Forest like, but with aliens and more weirdness, that could be a lot of fun. But yeah, that was a interesting
do you know what
announcement.
else would be fun with Sons of the Forest? If it would
Hmm.
come out on console, that would be fun.
God damn, right? Especially before they announced Sons of the Forest 3 or the Forest 3, like that would be great. Like, god
I
damn,
just like
dude.
I don't get it. Like, what happened to that game? Why is it
I don't
gone?
know. I don't know, man. It's crazy. But mostly some weird management thing. Then we got another trailer for Stranger Than Heaven. This is a game that like I didn't care about at all. When it got announced, everybody was super excited. I remember like a couple years ago maybe. Like, yo, Stranger Than Heaven, it's like a Yakuza like blah blah. We're so excited for this game. And then they had the announcement like they had the trailer a little while ago. It's like, oh, Snoop Dogg's in it. And people are like, bad timing with that. And then this trailer showed that Tupac is in it. And this game just keeps getting weirder and weirder. And there's this whole thing that exploded after this
Oh.
about how like the owner of his likeness is the label company or whatever, and these like screwed over their family of like millions of dollars, at least allegedly is what this half sister's saying or whatever. Just call her the sister. I don't call my half sisters half sisters, they're just my sisters. Same with my brothers. It's just weird. I mean, that game like gets weirder and weirder every time it gets shown. Like I don't care about it at all, but it's just and the people who were excited keep getting more and more disinterested. That
I
game.
mean, I feel like for very good reason. It's pretty weird at this point.
Yeah, and that comes out January. At least it's not a September game. Then we got the announcement of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: The Last Run. I guess people expected this. This is from Platinum Games. I'm not a big Ninja Turtles guy, but I know a lot of people are super excited. So it's by Platinum. I'm sure it'll be good. No date given. Let's see what else. And then we're kind of skipping some other games. Had a co-op game that was shown called Extremely Hard Game. Kind of reminds me of the game where like you carry the painted glass uh, between two characters. Very similar. I think it might be the same studio. But after that, then we got the reveal for That's No Moon's new game. This is That's No Moon's studio made from X Call of Duty, X I want to say X Destiny and X Last of Us or Naughty Dog developers. They kind of came together and formed this new studio and they work on a game for like a long time. And it turns out the game they're making is a new Crossfire game, and it's interesting because I'm like, Crossfire was one of the Crossfire is like a franchise that's been out. Never played it, but Crossfire was also an episode of Secret Level, who also starred Claudia Dumit, who was Victoria Newman in The Boys, and Ricky Whittle,
God, was
who I
it an
believe.
episode of Secret Level?
Yes, it was an episode. Because it was the one that was so weird. I'm like, I don't know this franchise, but I was like, that's crazy that they got this like this actor in it to do it, and it looks really good. It's really interesting. Like, I don't know what's going on, but it's like it's the second game that was like it was like early marketing because she's in this game, so clearly they're connected. Because the Pac-Man one, obviously they announced Pac-Man like a month later, but this is like a year later or whatever. But like someone in my local Warhammer Discord is working at the studio. And they were saying like, I'm so excited I can finally talk about the game I've been working on. It's like been on NDA because just got announced. So like that's cool. But yeah, it looks interesting, like a narrative shooter, like especially if it's got like top pedigree stuff on there. Plus it's got like some weird supernatural stuff going on, like maybe some enhanced soldiers or whatever. What I think is really cool is, and they talked about it, a lot of people didn't, but it's like, okay, whatever, you don't care about this kind of stuff. But like the adaptive cover that they talked about, which is in the trailer, looks really cool. Like traditionally in games, it's like, okay, you got standing, crouch, and prone, and you got to choose which one to do. And the way levels are designed are in such a way that you have waist high walls so you can crouch in like The Last of Us, or any other game, and at the heights of which you can do between standing, crouch, and prone. But this has like this adaptive cover where the character will, depending on the line of sight of the enemy and then the environment to you, will adaptively move around the environment to make sure that they're always out of line of sight. I'm assuming maybe you hold a button or you can get out if you want, like you can stand up, but obviously you're going to get seen. But to be more stealthy, I was like, oh, that's really cool. Like it looks cool in practice and very Naughty Dog, especially with like the animation and probably the fluid animation they have to do to adjust that. It's like a thing that only I would like. I'm sure we something. I'm like, it's kind of cool, like tech stuff. I think is fun. But yeah, I mean, I'll be curious to see if it's like a narrative shooter. I mean, that'd be like with a good story. That'll be a fun time. But no release date on that. Just that it's coming out on PlayStation 5, Xbox Series consoles, and PC. Again, there's another trailer for Control Resonant. Don't care. Then the announcement of Guild Wars 3, which is also coming to PlayStation 5 in fall of 2027.
I didn't
And
know Guild Wars was still around, to be honest.
yeah, Guild Wars
I
2,
was
like
like, I had no idea.
if it's free to play on console and doesn't require PlayStation Plus, I was like, I could see getting into it because I think Guild Wars 2 is also free to play.
It has historically always been free to play, yeah.
Yeah. Well, the first one, I think the first one was well. I think it's the only reason why I played the first Guild Wars was because I was paying for 11, and I was
I
like, oh,
think
I'll
that
play
was
Guild
the
Wars because I don't have to pay it.
Yeah, I think that was the whole shtick. They were always like free to play and then made money elsewhere, but they were like
Yeah.
decent free to play ones.
And I like Guild Wars 1 because I played that while I was looking for party in FF11 because that was way back when there was no level sync, and I'd stand and like crawl. And if you were a damage dealer, you were fucked looking for party. So I was like standing in Crawler's Nest, like looking for party as Dragoon while I was playing Guild Wars because you could play Guild Wars solo, and they had like how Final Fantasy has the trust system now. They had that in Guild Wars 1, where it's like you could just recruit NPCs to fulfill the roles and the world was instanced, which I thought was really cool. So it's like the town hubs weren't. Every other player was there, but if you want to go on your own little adventure by yourself, you're in your own instanced world, and I thought that was so cool. But I put a lot of time in that. Didn't do like any end game stuff. I don't think I beat the MSQ, but I had fun with it. It was a good time. So we'll see about this one. Then Gundam Rogue Orbit got announced. Release date for 2027. There was another trailer for Star Wars Galactic Racer. Virtual Fighter Crossroads was shown. RuneScape Dragon Wilds, like I guess a DLC coming to RuneScape. Yeah, because it's coming to early. It's coming to 1.0 in September. It's been out. It's just announced in the release date of 1.0. Then a game called 1666 Amsterdam. It's by Assassin's Creed creator who left and started their own studio, and it's like a interesting little game they're showing. I'm like, okay, this could be fun. Like they didn't go too much into it, but and there's like you could play like a 30-minute, so the prologue or some demo they said was available now. I don't know if it's available. I think it's only available on PC, but it's going to be launching into early access later this year. But yeah, looks interesting. I mean, like a somehow you're like a not like a timekeeper, but like a knowledge keeper. So I don't know if that means like you're a witch who's immortal or something, but it looks interesting. It's got witchcraft action, as they say. So that'll be fun. Saw Genesis, don't care. Another trailer for Lords of the Fallen 2. Then we had a trailer for Blood of the Dawnwalker, which opened up, and I didn't realize it was Blood of Dawnwalker immediately because like modern day, and then it cuts back to in the past, and I was like, okay, so are they going to do some Metal Gear Solid 2 stuff on us, where like or like the new that Dracula that came out on Netflix, where it's like part of it is 14th century Europe and the other part of it is present day. Like, so that'll be interesting. But that comes out September 3rd, so there's another September game. Then we had a game I didn't know was coming out called Star Wars Zero Company. It's like an XCOM Star Wars, so that'll be fun. I look forward to playing that. I like any XCOM like. Should be a good time. There's some Among Us stuff, Monster Hunter Wilds, Sentence expansion, Hot Wheels Infinite Rush, Attack on Titan 3 game got announced.
I mean, the Hot Wheels game before was actually pretty good. I keep meaning to go back and finish it.
It's coming. This Hot Wheels Infinite Rush is coming out the 24th of September, so there's another September game for you.
I know. They're all. I know. I'm gonna play one of them and drop all the others, or all these games are gonna come out in September, and I'm gonna choose to play a game that came out like 5 months ago instead.
Yeah. We got another trailer for Wolf Among Us 2 shown. That's getting 2027 launch window. They're also remastering the first Wolf Among Us as well. So that should be arriving this holiday for those who didn't play the original. Then we had a Street Fighter 6 Year 4 DLC trailer showing that Tifa was going to be coming in early 2027 to Street Fighter. So there you go. Then we had the reveal of Stellar Blade Blood Rain, which is the sequel to Stellar Blade. I was like, damn, that's pretty fast because I feel like Stellar Blade was last year.
Like a year or two ago, yeah.
Yeah, it's got a new protagonist, and she's a boxer, fights with her fists. It's like, all right, I know people like Stellar Blade, so they'll probably play this one. And then we closed out with the trailer for Final Fantasy VII Revelation, the third and final FF7 remake game to come out, which will be launching simultaneously on all platforms, including Nintendo Switch 2 and Xbox in spring of 2027. So I'm going to have to go back at some point and actually finish Remake or Rebirth because I didn't do that in prep for this.
I never finished it either. That game just did not grasp me. I don't know if I even have the desire to go back and finish it.
Yeah.
Have no idea, but like, yeah, Final Fantasy VII the remake has not been doing it for me.
Yeah, it's just the combat I'm not about. And then I stopped at Costa del Sol, so I just got to get through that. I could see like bumping down the difficulty to like easy and just getting through it real quick just to see what they changed. But yeah, if it ever went on, I should have kept it on my Steam wish list and see if it goes on sale. Because my problem was that it never looked good. Like in 60, I couldn't play it at 60 because the ghosting was just driving me bonkers. I think they've done some patches since, so maybe it'll actually look better now. But and there was a lot of indie showcases as well right after the show. I know a game I've had on my wish list since like a couple years ago. Screenbound has a demo. They had a new trailer. They have a demo out now. You can play it. I don't know how long it is. That's the game. It's like an indie game where you hold like a Game Boy, and however you walk in the real world, you see your character walking like that in like this Game Boy, 8-bit style art style. But there's things you can see on the screen that you can't see in the real world. So it's like you have to look at both.
Is it like an AR game then?
No, well, I guess like it's a video game, and the game inside that game is an AR game, I suppose. Like this person's like,
but you have to walk in real life to play it.
No. It's on PC. Like you walk
Okay.
the character you're controlling is walking in a world, but they're also holding the Game Boy in front of them.
Gotcha.
And it's an 8-bit version of their world. So like you can see the 3D environment, but there's things that only appear it's like holding up the broken glass in Dishonored 2.
Yeah, no, I got you now.
Yeah. So it's that mechanic. Yeah.
I was hoping it was an AR game because I'm like, I actually kind of enjoy AR games, and that would be a fun one.
Nah, the only AR game I ever played back in the day was I wish I remember. It was like a spy game, and like you would get a mission to like make a dead drop, so you had to walk somewhere, and it would like randomly generate based on GPS like where the dead drop was. So you'd have to go walk to the dead drop, complete the mission, and then to give you a new mission to do. And I always thought that was such a really cool. This was like 2007 maybe. It was like obviously it was just so you can walk around, get you walking. But I was like, it was such a cool idea for like this video game that you played. It's like Pokemon Go but Spycraft. Way back in the day, I thought it was really cool. But yeah, it's Screamman has a demo that's out. There's a lot of demos that came out. I wish there was like a way to see more of the like on the store. Like they say, like, oh, Steam Summer Showcase, all this stuff. But I'm like, I wish there was a way to see like, hey, Day of the Devs, here's every game that was shown that has a demo. That way I can filter like, okay, because there's a lot, because I watched someone else, another small streamer who was playing some demos. I'm like, I wish there was a way to like see without having to add the game or go to each game page to see if there's a demo. Because yeah, there's
It's
a lot of
there's
stuff.
so many and so many of the demos, I don't know. I need a better way to filter them. I agree. It was the main
No.
complaint I had is like finding the games now, and I'm actually interested in usually like I find ones that I like for it, but the way they focus on it is really rough. I think it's just like needing to listen to a podcast of someone whose opinion I trust and see what they say about it because otherwise it's way too hard.
Yeah, it sounds like what I said earlier in this episode.
I know you did say it and I agree with you.
Yeah, I know. That's like that is the one thing. But then sometimes like I hear people talk about a game and I look at it after listening, I'm like, this is not at all what I imagined. And I'm not about this. But yeah, and the Xbox showcase is going on right now. In fact, let's see if anything surprising came out of that. Let me just look at IGN real quick and see if there's any big announcements from that. Everything announced. Anything surprising? New trailer for Clock Revolution. That's the game that looks interesting. Ooh, trailer. This got leaked, but well, I guess it's just got announced. Persona 6 had their official teaser trailer, but this was
You
leaked.
don't need a teaser trailer. Just release the fucking game or a real
Yeah,
I hate
yeah,
teaser trailers.
right. A new trailer for Valor Mortis. Oh, official release date trailer. Okay, is that going to be September 24th? Get the fuck out of here. Oh
Is
my
it really
god.
September?
Yeah.
Dear Lord.
Minecraft Dungeons 2 comes out September 29th. Oh my god. Uh,
Fine.
Yo, they got a limited edition Xbox 25th anniversary console, and it's clear green. That's pretty cool.
Xbox does. I think you
Yeah.
actually mentioned this in our chat, but like Xbox does so much better with their limited edition consoles and limited edition controllers than Sony does. I don't understand why they're so much nicer than like anything PlayStation comes up with.
Oh, and they announced another Senua's Saga game just called Senua. It comes out in 2027.
They kind
All
of
right.
botched up the second one. That was
I didn't,
unfortunate.
yeah, I didn't play that one.
Well, nobody did. That was part of the problem because they walked back a lot of the good aspects in the first game that made it interesting and unique.
Ooh, a new trailer for Metro 2039. I'm gonna have to watch that after, because the other one was just like an announcement tone trailer. This is like looks more like it's showing off gameplay. I'll have to watch that. And then let's see, State of Decay 3 got a 2027 release date. Persona 4 Revival is coming to Xbox in February. I guess that's for everybody. I forgot that Resonance of Plague Tale Legacy was announced a ways back, and they showed
What the
off.
heck is Resonance of Plague Tale Legacy?
The game of Plague Tale,
Yeah,
Innocence Requiem.
yeah.
It's like a I think it's like a prequel game of a Plague Tale.
Oh, well,
But
that's a game that doesn't need to exist.
yeah. And then they have the Halo Combat Evolved showing off coming out July. I have to watch that just 'cause I'm curious how it looks. And if someone does like a side by side. And Fable is officially releasing in 2027, February 23rd. And Gears of War E-Day comes out October 6th.
The
Okay.
delay for Fable was unfortunate.
Yeah.
It's
All
such a
right. So
Fable thing, though. They get delayed constantly.
yeah, not too much. A couple trailers I have to go back and watch just 'cause I'm curious. All right. Well, we can go ahead and move on to what we've been playing. We'll start with me real quick just because you're going to talk about Saros because you beat it. I did start Mina the Hollower yesterday. I only played it for like 2 hours. I got to the town square. I beat the first, like, it's just like a guard, like a big guy. I beat him, and then I beat the dragoon that attacks you, the main villain. I forget his name, Tenebrius or whatever. Beat that guy. He like flies around and one shot him. Easy peasy. It's funny, like beat those guys, but then like a fucking bat will kill me or something. I'll be like, God damn it. A slime will push me down a pit. I'm like, motherfucker.
How
But
you liking it so far?
I'm liking it so far. I'm curious, like, whenever I come across stuff, I'm wondering, like, okay, how much is stuff like how Metroidvania is it? Like, I know there's like a motorcycle, because I've heard people talk about it before. So I know there's like, okay, there's like a mount you can get. It's like, okay. So I'm like, how much if I come across an area where I feel like I can't proceed, is like is there a lot of Metroidvania of like, oh, you can't go through the bars until you get Mist Form for Alucard. You can't do this until you get the Wolf and the Speed Run, and you can jump the gap. Like, is there any of that mechanic in it, or is it strictly not like that in just Zelda and Bloodborne? So anytime I come across a problem, like I don't know if I could do this. Like, can I do it? But it's like Tunic, where I just don't know I can do it. You know what I
Right.
mean?
I'm
So
not
I'm
sure
like,
to the answer to that yet because I'm not far enough, but I've had the same kind of curiosity of like it seems like there are a lot of areas where it's really hard to tell if you're not supposed to be there or if you just haven't figured out a puzzle yet.
yeah, and I thought like the first boss would be hard because when I was in the party, like, oh, if you have trouble with the boss, just go ahead and go farm these guys here and level up because you can, level up. And I'm like, I guess it wasn't that hard, but whatever. I do hope there's a trinket that lets me not have to jump to burrow. Like I just want to burrow immediately. 'Cause I keep trying to burrow to dodge, but then I jump and I take damage because I'm not burrowing immediately. And then healing and being able to be interrupted is messing me up because I'm like, "Oh, I gotta heal," because I haven't because I like that mechanic of having to build every gauge, but then I forget that I have to heal, and then I go to heal, and they touch me right before I'm done with the animation. I'm like, "God damn it." So, like, I'm hoping there's, like, a trinket that speeds that up, that lets me burrow immediately without jumping, but, yeah, no, so far I'm liking it. I went with the twin daggers, the fact that it has the pushback when you attack is a little annoying. I'm like, "Ah, other games do that." I'm like,
Shovel Knight
not
had that, which was definitely frustrating with Shovel Knight.
not not being able to attack diagonally, but being able to move diagonally is really annoying. I had when I was fighting that first real boss, the dragoon, I was like, I know he's not a dragoon. I'm just calling it because he looks like a dragoon. I got him down really low, and I'm like, oh, he's gonna be done. So he was doing that move he does, where like he does the rectangle with the flames, and I'm like, oh, he's gonna stop, and when he stops, I'm gonna just zerg him. But he stopped in such a way that I couldn't stand on the bottom of him because he moved up, so I couldn't stand in the way of the flames, and on the right were also some flames. So I was, like, in the box, but I couldn't attack diagonally, so I couldn't hit the fucker, and I was like, "I can't hit him." And I was like I was so mad, I was like, "I think I might die because I'm just trying to get the last couple of hits in," but luckily he didn't do that, so I killed him, but, some of the lion mayor guy, when he talks, it's so annoying. I'm like, I hate the sound it makes when you talk. That's the one issue I have with, like, the whole 16-bit aesthetic or whatever, 8-bit aesthetic is like when they talk and they make that obnoxious beep, it's like I'm like, I hate it. I hate that so much. Um,
That's your pet peeve with the game?
dude, when you're in there and they're doing the ribbon cutting ceremony and like everyone's talking and it's just fucking
The
8-bit
chirping?
chirping black and white static TV shit, I'm like, this is so annoying. I'm like, please get through it. I'm like, but other than that,
Oh.
so far I'm like, I like how it's like you discover stuff. I'm like, oh, like they don't teach you about the burrow. And like I just happened to burrow under something. I destroyed a breakable wall because it looked like a breakable wall. And then
So
it's like,
burrowing was the thing where I was like, I am surprised at how little I think I mentioned before of like you have to actually read the instruction manual because they don't explain core parts of the game, and burrowing was specifically what I was referring to. Is it's like a really integral part of the game, but they don't really have like a tutorial thing where it kind of like naturally walks you through why it's important. And I just found that like a little odd. Like it wasn't really problematic. It was just a little bit odd because most game design nowadays would teach you like, yeah, you want to like walk players through why you have to do something. You want to like introduce them to the topic or like have some thing that requires them to burrow as a main area, and then you have the little pop-up that's like, did you mean to burrow? Here's how you burrow. And
yeah,
this game doesn't really do that.
well, it's because it's very old school, right? It's like, yeah, you would have to read the manual. And they do have that one house when you get to town after everything gets like, I'm like, why are you guys having a ribbon cut? Do you not know that shit's on fire outside? Like, what are you doing? Like, you are just overconfident, man. But like, there's that one house you go in, and it's like a adventure guild or something. I don't know, but like, oh, jump attacking is really good. Try jump attacking on this target right here. And the other one's like, oh, sometimes it's the only way to get over certain objects is to jump, or if you can't burrow, you just have to jump over them. And it's like there are like a little house where like people teach you the mechanics. I was like, okay, there you go. But yeah, I'm enjoying it so far. Again, I just hope there's a trinket that lets me burrow without having to jump. 'Cause I'm like, I want to be able to dodge quicker, and I was like, I don't want to jump. I just want to burrow. But yeah, no, I'm not that far. I got I was like, okay, you got to get the generators back up and running. I'm like, okay, once I saw the fountain in the middle of town, like clearly this is indicating my progress of the world. So I'm like, I went to the right and it was like, oh, if I keep going right, I go like this. I'm like, I'll just go down and went down and fought like there's some like Ghostbuster mice down there or whatever, like blasting their electron packs at me. And I was like, okay, fought them. Yeah, It's fun so far. I like it. I didn't know immediately that there's that one. I was like, I walked over a square on the ground. It was like an Xbox logo, old school style, in like a tile. And when I walked over it, like it lit up. I'm like, did that just catch on fire? And it was like, because I went through like a single tile path. I'm like, does that mean it's locking me in here? Like I don't, if I touch it, I take damage. Um, and later I was, oh, this is the checkpoint. So if I die, this is where I respawn. And then I also, it took me a bit to realize that's where I go down where like that underground shop is. I forget how I discovered that, but yeah, that's fine. Did that. Man, when you grind the bones that that you pick up that go straight down to your lab or whatever, and then it just spits them all out, and you have to collect them. I'm like, could you not just like deposit them into my pocket, please? I have to chase them around. Why? Why you got to do that?
Old school, man. Make it as frustrating as possible.
But yeah, no. So far, I'm enjoying it. I'm curious once I start getting like my first trinkets. I like what I think is fun, and I'd be curious. And they would never do this in a Souls game, but like when you get enough bones to level up something that can level up, like everything's 350 that first time. It's like the game stops and goes, "Yo, you have enough." Like you don't have to go to you know a bonfire to level up. You don't have to go to the doll in the dream, Hunter's dream. Like it's just like, "Yo, you want to level up? You can. Okay, you can leave." Like you don't have to do it. It's like, but I love that it lets you do that once you're able to. I'm like, it's such a like great like, oh, just do it if you can. I think that's so cool. That way I don't have to like, you're not grinding to then go back to a location to be able to spend them. I
It
thought that
it
was a
seems like it has decent design ideas. I feel like I'm not actually far enough in the game to really like understand the game yet. I think you might be farther than me at this point. So
Do you have any generators up and running?
no.
Did you look through the one telescope? And like you look at the moon and then like the shit like launches a key at your face. And
I
I'm like,
did.
what the hell? I'm like, when the moon hits your eye, man, come on, the keys are called Kiers, and it's like so interesting. Like, oh, one guy's like, there's only 48 Kiers in the world left. It's like, once there's less, come back to me and we'll talk about trading. And I was like, okay, so there's
Gears. The
actually
fuck
only
is a
so many.
gear?
That's I don't know why you call it. I like didn't know he was talking about keys for a bit until I was like, oh, it's like you collected one key. I'm like, okay. Man, no, so far I'm liking it. Again, I only played it for like 2 hours. I don't know if I'll stream. What's nice though is that it being only like 8-bit is that the recording file is only like 8 gigs versus some shit like when I was playing routine. Those videos are like huge. Those are like 74 gigs a piece. Those things because the way the game looks, because that game has that static retro, because it's like a retro future in that game. So it's like the screen has like this static on it as an effect, and like it just that fucks with the encoding, and it just makes those files so big. I need to upload those to YouTube and clear them off my hard drive. But I'm having fun with it.
Good.
But anyways, you finished Saros.
I did finish Saros. I beat the Yellow King. I guess spoilers because it's gonna be Saros, but like I beat the Yellow King once. I know there's a second ending of beating the Yellow King a second time. So like I guess I'm 80% done with it, but not done with the like additional loop that you're able to do. I thought it was good. I think it's like a really solid game. It does not feel like a roguelite to me. Whereas like Returnal did feel like a roguelite. Like Returnal really felt like you were supposed to go through the world repeatedly. This one does not feel like that. I do think as like a vague statement that Returnal did everything Saros does, but better. Like I like the weapon design in Returnal more. I thought they were more unique. I like the modifiers in Returnal more. I like the world progression in Returnal more, like how it advances. I feel like this game, if Returnal hadn't come first, I would have thought this game was phenomenal. But comparing it to Returnal and thinking of it as a progression of what they had already accomplished, I feel like it's a step back. Um, or it really just isn't the same type of game I was looking for. Like I was thinking it was more like roguelites or like repeated runs, whereas it's much more like you get checkpoints and you really just go back to those checkpoints. You never go back to like the start of the world, and it's not really about building up like a loadouts or a build out. It's more of just you kind of have light random elements as you kind of go level by level in almost like an adventure game format. I think the other big challenge I ran into with this game is I have no idea what the fuck the story is because I don't think I died enough to get like updates. So I feel like I was supposed to be talking to people way more often and I wasn't. And because of that, I feel like I missed out on like major developments. So like I talked to Stack like once or twice within the world, and he's like painting shit, and I'm like, okay, so obviously he's infected, and he's gonna like, progress with the eclipse, and the eclipse is gonna happen. And then like I come back like two bosses later, and he's been murdered, and I'm like, okay, I feel like I was probably supposed to like see some of the interim steps because he went from like infected but like chilling and fine to like dead kind of over the course of one run for me because I basically went through two bosses in one run. And I can't help like I got the grasp of what was going on because it's, he's painting the eclipse in the sun. It's obvious he's losing his mind a little bit, but it wasn't like a slow progression of anything. It was just kind of like I did one run and he was painting the sun, and then I did the next run and shit's gone down and everyone's been murdered. Um, so I struggled a little bit with like the story progression in the game and just this feeling like I was missing major parts and pieces of it because I wasn't dying frequently enough and going back and talking to people frequently enough. Um, so that was a little rough, but like it's still a good game. I just think it's not as good compared to Returnal.
Yeah, it's like Returnal had that too, where like in the second half, like just getting through all the zones, I missed all like the house segments. And it's like,
Yeah,
oh man, I gotta go back and get those. Like I had that as well. And then the one thing Saros does at least is like it like banks all the conversations. I'm like, which is fine, but then I'm having like a
they
conversation that I should have had like again like multiple deaths ago.
they don't make
But
sense though. Like it banks the conversations, but then I'm like, I have no idea what you're referring to. Like you're talking about something that happened, but whatever that thing happened is like not it doesn't flow well. Maybe that's the better way to put it. Is this game doesn't like the story doesn't flow well and progress at an even pace because they had to assume that you were exploring a certain amount and also dying a certain amount to actually get the story beats at the appropriate moments. And it was like very clear from my playthrough that I was not getting the story beats when I was supposed to be getting them.
yeah, because it'll be like you find the campsite of the crew before you. You
Yeah,
also find a crew member, and then
yeah,
you find this. So then like he's like, oh, I found Echelon 3 and blah blah blah, and it's like we stop talking, and it's like I found someone from Echelon 2 and blah blah blah, and it's like oh the Echelon 2 guy he's crazy blah blah blah. It's like because I figured that later, so it's like that is a little that's a little rough because like okay, I get it, like you can't do that. It's like I don't know how you would streamline that better. Like like in video games when it's like, I need you to go collect 10 things for me. Like, oh, I already got 10 things on me. Here you go. And you go, oh, thanks. I don't know how you would do that with conversations. I guess you just have to record the dialogue in such a way and have interim to where it's a little more like how in Spider-Man, when Peter Parker talks when he's walking versus when he's swinging, it's like two different recordings because now he's swinging around. So it's like he's yelling way louder.
right.
To where it's like, okay, if he goes up and he's like, hey, I found Echelon Three's camp, and I also ran into this person, and it turns out they're going a little crazy. Like some way to like bleed his stuff together, and then also make the other person's dialogue in response to that bleed together. That I feel like it would just take a little more time to do that. Like that
Yeah.
was the only thing. Yeah, if you don't go back and you have to talk to
And
everybody through all the stuff.
yeah, so like I talked through the stuff, but then it was like the responses don't quite make sense because it doesn't flow like an actual conversation. So it's like you get the parts and pieces, but you're not getting them at the appropriate like cadence and delivery. So when they deliver the pieces of information, you're kind of like, all right, are we like sad about this? Are we happy about this? Like how do we feel about this? You're kind of acting
Mm,
fine. And I feel like
yeah,
that part was kind of like missing from it, which I do think Returnal semi suffered from as well. But with Returnal, because it was not quite as I don't want to say that Returnal story was more straightforward than this, because frankly, Returnal story is not like the most straightforward
right.
either.
But it was just one person. It was just you. It was just
Yeah,
Lean. So it's like
yeah.
that's fine. Yeah.
So like it's a little bit more straightforward, or it's told in a different way that I think the impact of that is maybe not felt quite as much, whereas it was felt more here.
Yeah, especially because like you're having conversations with both the captain and the other character as well. So it's like you're talking about I found Echelon Three's base to multiple people. So you're having that same if
Right.
you've banked conversations, you're having the same bank conversations over and over. Yeah, so that could be it's a little rough. And I feel like maybe they need to work on that in the next game. Out of that. But
Well,
I'm surprised you like the weapons in Returnal because the only one that really stands out in Returnal again is the one like big machine gun.
the
Reminds me a lot
Hollow
of the machine gun
Seeker.
from Killzone.
I
Like
didn't think
that's
the weapons in this were bad. Like all of the weapons are pretty comfortable to use. It's just all of the weapons feel a little like samey. Like,
They all shoot bullets, except the saw
well, they
blade
all
one.
show bullets. Like the saw blade plays different, but like the rifle, this is like very like
I mean,
generic.
that's the
But
rifle
like the
from
rifle
Returnal.
is super generic.
Yeah, same
The
Returnal rifle,
eruptor
the
hand
carbine.
cannon is basically like a generic hand cannon stuff. So everything, I don't know. Like the eruptor shoots 3 bursts, great. The rifle shoots a few, great. Everything felt very like plays the exact same. None of it actually required you to play different. Whereas like the rock gland lobber at least like requires you to play different. The fact that of the guns, 3 of them are pistols, and granted, like one's like a sniper pistol, one is like a burst fire pistol, and the other one is like a ricochet pistol, but they're all pistols still. I just yeah, I thought that Returnals were a bit better.
Yeah, I guess it was just me. Yeah, because I like because like okay, they have the same carbines that like Returnal has, where you have the rising pitch, you have the heavy hitters, the alt
And I
fire where it
always
shoots
thought the
multiple.
carbines were kind of boring, like the rising pitch, the heavy hitters, like like that's your generic approach, right? Like
Right,
that's
but
never going to
they're
be the super
yeah, I'm just saying
exciting one.
in relation to Returnal, like it's the same. Like they have those in both.
Yeah.
Um, but like I really like the shotguns in this, especially the ones that let you shoot the alternate file was the vertical shot. I was like, oh, I really like the shotguns. I think they're a ton of fun. There were certain variants of the saw blade that I really liked. But otherwise, like that for me, that was this game's lobber, where I was like, okay, I don't like two of the variants, but one of the variants I think is a lot of fun. It,
The shotguns are
especially
great. The shotguns
in
feel really good in this game.
in the cathedral zone, like using the saw blade weapon in that, like, I think that's about like right when you get it, is fun because it's more like close quarters. It's a little better to use there versus I wouldn't like using it anywhere else. But I really like the shotgun. And then, but yeah, I definitely think the story of the first one's tighter just because it's a single person. I do like the story of this one, especially because there's Devrosh.
Yeah.
Is that his name? Yeah, he's
Yeah.
like he's not a good
Argent
person.
Devraj.
Yeah, he's not a good person. So I like that, and like Celine kind of has some of that where like, is she a good person as well? But he's like he's not a good person at all.
I mean,
He's
I like the story in this game. I just think the pacing of the story is weird. So like I
yeah
feel like how you get the beats if you're not dying enough detracts from the actual story of the game. And I think
yeah
that's just kind of
more
unfortunate.
so than it does in Returnal. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Um and then like the world, I will say I think all the zones feel super samey. Like every zone in this game kind of
really?
feels like yeah. I
Because
think
like,
the
oh
the
man,
cathedral feels different, but like I could not tell you they're even named the same. Like there's like Shattered Rise and Shattered Ascent, and then like all of those areas sort of just feel the same to me.
really? Yeah, because you got like the first zone's like got that red overgrowth everywhere. Then you're in a swamp. Then you're in the like
But
industrial seaside zone,
you're in
trying
like
to make it to the ship.
a grayscale swamp and a grayscale like red zone. Like all of them,
Is that your color
even
blindness? Maybe.
that would be an interesting thing to determine. Because to me, all like the color palette of this game, every zone felt the same.
Oh, because
Like
like for
every
yeah, for me
single
it's
zone felt the same.
yeah. The first zone was like
What?
it was white marble and red foliage. I thought it was like it was a really cool color contrast. And then yeah, then you get to the swamp and it was like okay, swampy trees, green swamp water, especially during the eclipse when it's like becomes poisoned. It's like okay, it's it's very this is the swamp zone, the poison lake Miyazaki area. Then it's like you get to the industrial zone, which is very remind me a lot of the industrial zone from Returnal, but it's like it's seaside, and you can see your. I like that you can see your target in the distance. I always thought that was really cool about each zone, which I think is why they're designed the way they are, where it's like key key tile sets and then randomizers in between them, because they need you to be able to see your objective in the distance, and you wouldn't be able to do that in a game like Returnal. So I like that you can always see. I'm trying to get here. I'm trying to get to that the like the giant bird cage looking thing in the distance with the light. You're trying to get to that, and it's like I like that whole you're trying to get somewhere and you can see it off in the distance stuff. And then I like the like I said the cathedral zones. Yeah, it's obviously really good. Um, but yeah, I thought at least for me, I felt like the zones were as distinct as they are in Returnal, at least. Like it's very much like, oh, here's this biome. Like you can drop me in, I could tell you exactly where we were. But
That
uh,
does make me wonder if it's a color blindness thing or like a color palette. Because honestly, to me, I'm like every zone's exactly the same, with the exception of like the cathedral, which has different architecture. Every zone is the same.
hmm, Yeah.
genuinely do
Uh,
not think I could tell you the difference between like the second, third, or fourth zones.
hmm, interesting, interesting.
I want to
We
like
got
look
they
up
got to
the
do
color palette of this and like test
they
it
got
now.
they got to do one of those GeoGuessr like they do for Elden Ring, the Elden Ring GeoGuessr, and do that
Yeah.
for Saros and see if you can spot where you are. Yeah, I well, how did you think about the bosses?
I thought all the bosses were I well, I missed the music for the bosses first of all. Which
There's
mostly
music,
I
just
compared
it,
to
probably not.
Returnal, like the rhythm based aspect of Returnal with the bosses. I kind of missed that. I didn't think the bosses were as hard as Returnal. Like the Architect, I think I beat on my first playthrough, and then like what was the water boss? The like Leviathan
The like
Kraken
Leviathan
creature.
Kraken guy.
Yeah, like I beat him on my first playthrough. I beat I think the Architect is the bird one. I beat him on my first playthrough. Um I thought like the first boss gave me a little bit of challenge because it was like getting back into the swing of things. But
Hmm.
generally I beat all of them with like 1 to 2 playthroughs. I do think the Yellow King himself is like a fantastic boss fight. Like that one was really fun. And I think probably like the strongest boss fight in the game. But the rest I think were a little bit simpler than Returnal.
Yeah, I think the Yellow King is too easy. They give you too many blue orbs in that fight, I think.
He's
They're
not the most difficult, but I did think he was a really good boss fight.
he was good. Like I like a lot of I just he gave way more blue than any other fight. Like the Kraken was like, "Oh, you want some blue orbs? Okay, you got to get them quick because there's some yellow corrupted orbs right after. You got and they're in like a wave, so you can't get them all." Whereas the King was like, "Yo, it's plentiful with like a whole wave that's like 90% blue." I'm like, all right, you're getting a little too much." I the what boss that was the mechanical boss in the like the industrial zone underground, like that boss where it's like
Is that
you
the
got those
Sentinel
spikes
one, the one
everywhere.
that looks like the is that the one that's like the Matrix boss Legion, or is that a different one you're talking about?
Legion's a different one. That's the one where it's like a bunch of bosses around. No, the one that's underground when you go through the industrial zone where you have to trigger both the sides to open the
Oh
door.
yeah, yeah.
And then it's like it's like he's got a face, but he spawns like the turrets, and you have all the tile sets with the spikes on them or the flames or whatever. Like that was an interesting fight. It's like okay, because you're like stuck in like this narrow path. I like the first boss design, the tree. I like that. That was fun. Like I said, the architect was good. I liked a lot of. I like the Kraken fight. I like I said, I did like the king. The what was the one? There was one that you do, was it the architect where it's you're like you jump between the three giant floating platforms. It reminded me a lot of the Nemesis fight from Returnal, the which is boss number 3 before,
I
the
don't know which
cutscene.
one you jump between the platforms. The Architect
It's
was the bird one.
is that it's like there eventually it's like you fought, I think it's the one where it's before the king, I think it's when you fight the what's her face and then like
Priestess.
the priestess. I think it's the priestess fight. It's like you fight it's like it's very on the ground, you're like in a little room and she makes multiple copies and then eventually that transitions to now she's way back and you're on these giant platforms and eventually like the platforms get like messed up and you have to jump between one and another in like the second phase of that fight. I thought that was fun. Did you use that mechanic of the positive negatives for the worlds? Did you use those?
Um, Sort of. I kind of like played around with it, and most of them I was kind of like, eh. Like the positive is not worth it enough for me to care about it, and the negative's too great. So I think I turned on the one that like reduces the negatives from artifacts, which just seems like you said, like far and away the best.
Hmm.
And I think that was pretty much the only one I really used, and then I balanced that out. But like I didn't make the game overly hard or overly easy. I just kind of kept it balanced.
Oh, okay. I wonder if that because you were talking about how you wanted to shot a lot of bosses. I think I probably put on more. I put on more negative modifiers to make it because I definitely did the one where I'm like, oh, artifacts, no curses. It's like that's a gimme, and I think
Yeah,
you can
that
get
one
it
is like
without balancing. You can just do that one. It's like that's clearly do this. Um, I'm trying to remember what other ones I like to use.
I think I
But
I
I
did that one, and then I think you do have to balance it, and I think I balanced it with like reduced leucinite gain or something because near the end of it I had everything so maxed out. Like you max out pretty quickly with successful runs that I just kind of was like, I don't need as much leucinite. I can lose more on death, and that was pretty much how I played the game was
yeah, and
balancing the
I didn't
artifacts with that.
max out my grid either. Because it's like you'd have to die a lot and collect a lot of stuff to actually max out that grid.
I got
But
like the
like,
big parts and pieces, and then I kind of
yeah,
was
yeah,
like, I don't need, I don't need the increased parry damage ones. I don't need like there were a lot where I was like, I don't really feel like I need these.
yeah. I liked. I did. Man, I should like boot it up just so I could see what they were. Uh, but yeah, I did use a lot of the negative traits to do some of the fun, interesting bonus ones. I can't remember what negative ones I like to use because one's like, oh, where corrupted would do more damage or something like that. It's like, okay, well, I'll just make sure I dodge it, and if I happen to get hit more, it's like whatever. Uh, but yeah, I liked using that mechanic because it was a fun way to kind of
That was
adjust the difficulty.
Yeah, that mechanic was a good way to adjust the difficulty, and it was like that was an improvement over Returnal. I think the weapons, I liked Returnal's weapons more. That mechanic was a good change, and then I'm trying to think of like what other changes I really enjoyed. I liked like the power weapons and the balance with those, but I found that I ended up just using like the same power weapon the entire game. Um, what was your favorite weapon in the game?
I really like like I said, I really like the shotgun that had the vertical fire mod because I
Yeah,
just thought that was just so strong.
the vertical
The
fire
shot
mod for the shotgun was like by far the best shotgun.
And I think it's good because, like, the shotgun didn't lose damage over distance, which is, like, my issue with shotguns in most video games, is like, "Oh, well, it's only close quarters." But because it had such a bunch of, pellet blasts, it's like you still hit enemies with it, so it's like, "Okay, this is a really strong, gun." The I liked a lot of the pistols. The one where you can, like, bank up a bunch of shots,
The
like,
eruptor
you
hand cannon.
yeah, that was fun. I liked I I liked the one assault rifle, which is very much like in Returnal, where the alt was firing like 2 or 3 bullets at a time for all the heavy hits. I like that. It's like, okay, shoot this guy in his weak spot, do a bunch of heavy hits, ready to go. Um, where am I in this? I'm on
Was a
the
fan of like I like the smart assault rifle a lot just because it like plays really easily. It is homing, so obviously it's not a challenge with that one, but I thought that was a good one.
I'm trying to how do I restart return to passage? There we go. I was trying to how do I restart the cycle? It's like, oh, I just hit pause. What other ones? Like I said, the shotgun. I There's one variant of the saw blade I liked, but it only in the cathedral. I didn't want to
I
use it
liked
in like
I think it was the Reaper Chakram. I like the Reaper Chakram. That was like the single fire one that does like a boatload of damage. That was good for like bosses and things. And then the repeater crossbow is like so far and above overpowered like every other weapon that I just had to stop using it because I think that I could have beat every single part of the game in the first like near the end of the game when it gets that battery generation thing. I think I could have beat everything in the game first try with the repeater crossbow. So I avoided using that. What else did I use? I like the eruptor hand cannon a lot, which was the burst fire one because that felt like a fun, just like a fun weapon to use, not
Mhm.
like super hard but fun. And then yeah, I don't know. I The shotguns were good. I didn't really use any of the rifles because they were kind of boring to me, with the exception of the smart rifle, which is really good. But I feel like the things with the rifles is like they don't do enough damage. So if I was going to use one, I would want one that does okay damage, but at least allows you to have like a fun gameplay style. And that's kind of what I feel the smart rifle was, is like it doesn't do the most damage, but you can run around constantly, you can dodge, you can pay attention to the other mechanics of the game, which I kind of enjoyed. Yeah, so that was kind of Saros for me.
Yeah, I like that crossbow with I forget which one it is because like I was looking in the database when it's like, oh, every variant has its own entry, so it's not like just crossbow. Here's the 3 variants, but the one that like in the secondary has it like spins around and like follows the targets and like goes around to other people once the main guy dies. I'm like, oh, that's a lot of fun. The objective is just face
The
tomorrow.
repeater one where it homes around them, or a different one?
Maybe I'd have to go back and
The
look at it.
repeater one is like the variant where if you do the alt fire, it shoots a main bolt in a person, and then all like you get homing balls that
Oh, okay.
track that person afterwards, which it's like the super overpowered one because you can just kind of fire homing bolts and then duck behind a wall and you're fine.
Yeah. Uh, yeah, I would do a lot of the second chance deactivation. I would turn that on as a modifier. Proficiency requires more leucinite. I do that one sometimes. reaching a new biome, just destroy an artifact. It's like, well, if I'm only in the one biome, it doesn't matter. Just turn that on. Hostiles being more aggressive, I turn that one on. And then what was the other one? I for a while I did the Halcyon removal, which I wish I didn't in hindsight in a couple areas. I forget why. It gives you +6 balance, so I was like, oh, I'll turn that on to do something else. I think maybe I was doing it with increase the tier of all artifacts as the buff. I forget which one it was, but like I turned those on as like the negatives. Also the increased corruption accumulation from projectiles, because I'm like, well, if I'm getting so much, Nova Blast energy to clear the corruption, it doesn't matter how much corruption I get, I can just clear it. But yeah, I like because sometimes I turn on not often, but like the shield doesn't consume power while active. Sometimes I try that. I didn't always run that one for positives. And then increase the Loosenite collection radius. I'd turn that one on because it only costs -1. It's like, yeah, I'd rather increase the area, because sometimes like they'd go away super quick, and I'd be like,
I will say, I hate with the Loosenite that you have to jump up in the air to fucking grab it.
Yeah.
Like, please, just let it fall to the ground. It doesn't impact the gameplay at all. Just please let it fall to the ground instead.
Yep.
But like, it was a good game. I enjoyed it. I just think I enjoy Returnal more.
Yeah. Returnal, it's still good. It's kind of like, even though it's not as good as Returnal, it's still better than, it's like people are like, oh, Dark Souls 2 is the worst Dark Souls. Like, it's still better than a lot of other games.
Exactly.
But yeah, I had a lot of fun with it, and definitely like I like a lot of the extra new mechanics they added, a lot of the boss fights and stuff like that. It's like, yeah, if they can continue that and just do another one of these like every couple of years, like I'd be fine. Like, I'd have a good time. I know I'll enjoy this game. This style. So yeah, all right, cool, sounds good. Well, I guess we're both just gonna play Mina the Hollower and get further than that. Hopefully
that's the next one.
A good amount this week, and we can actually talk about it more and get further along in for next episode. All right, well, I guess we got to call it there because we've been going on for quite a while in this one. We had a lot to talk about with the showcases. Good thing it would probably go even longer as I was here, because I have probably other games I want to speak to. But all righty, well, thank you for watching and listening. Thank you, Isli, for joining. You didn't want to say yep, or if you did,
I said yep.
I
said yep.
I said it didn't get picked up. It didn't get picked up.
I was like, yep.
That's fine. Probably too fast. And yeah, we will see you all next time.